Hey guys, welcome to your Good Life Now podcast. I'm your host, Frankie Martinez, and today we got our very first interview ever. So for the very first one, there was no one I could ask better I could think of than a good friend of mine, someone I consider my mentor, author, success coach, and pastor, Tracey Armstrong. So welcome, Tracey. Thank you for being on here today.
How you doing, man? We've known each other for so long. I mean, we've known each other for a
it has to be over
long
20
time,
years.
over 20 years.
It has to be over 20 years.
Here we are rolling together. Our wives love each other. Our kids love each other. And we are just doing life together. Isn't that cool? I mean, that's pretty cool. You don't get to do life with people for 20 years and then get to be their first podcast.
Yes.
I love it. This is great.
Yeah, super awesome. Super awesome. I mean, I definitely love and appreciate your family and you guys. And honestly, that's kind of one of the reasons I thought of you to be the first one on this podcast, because we've been talking about life purpose. And, you know, I was talking a couple months ago to Colin Higginbottom, and he was talking about you and saying how he's so appreciative of everything you do for, if you don't know, for listeners, if you don't know Colin Higginbottom, he leads I would call it a business movement here in San Diego. And Pastor Tracey's highly involved, always ministering there and speaking and encouraging and equipping people. So anyways, he was raving about you. And I go, funny thing is, I said, Colin, well, you know, he's been doing this like forever, you know? And he's like, really? I go, back in the day, he called it the Diamond Club. And I would remember because I was there. And honestly, if you think about it, it was through that Diamond Club that you hosted. And this was a church startup that I was serving you. I was helping. We were building this from the ground up. And I remember we'd go to Marie Callender's on a Saturday morning. And it was our version of what Colin's doing now. And it was the Diamond Club. And he's like, no way. So, but it was awesome. And so I think that that actually played an influence on me getting my contractor's license to do tile work, which is, I've been running that for now going on 17 years. So that's amazing.
That's awesome.
So, but what led me to that is that I've seen you live your life purpose for so many years. It's not just, oh, Tracey's a cool guy, let's get him on the show. No, it's I've witnessed personally. To see what you're doing now on a larger scale is awesome because it's who you are. It's not, you didn't just like pick it up. Oh, maybe this will work. Maybe this will get me something. No, it's who you are. And you've been doing this for a very, very long time. So to see it at a greater scale, I'm just so honored to be a part of it, to call you a friend, and to see you basically, you've been living what I've been speaking in the podcast the last couple of weeks about finding your life purpose, activating it. So that's the reason you're here, man. You've been through it, man. So that's why you're the one to talk about life purpose today, man.
I love it. And you know, of course, it is a wonderful thing to discover why you're alive and who you are and how you can present that to people and help people become the best of who they are and live their life purpose. It's really wonderful. And you're living your life purpose too, even starting this podcast. This is what you're designed to do, to communicate. From the time we first encountered, you're a communicator. I mean, you are a dynamic communicator. And so this is great that you're doing a podcast and you're able to bring that and introduce other people to the tribe that you're building around you. So it's wonderful to be a part of it.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And, you know, that's what we're doing here. We're living the good life, man. The good life is living in your purpose and activating your gifts. So awesome. Okay, well, let's jump right in. You ready to go?
Let's go, man.
All right, let's go. So let's start with the very first. Now, I'm very curious to hear this answer because I was almost going to guess it, but I'm curious to see, because I mean, you're multifaceted. You know, you're kind of like me. You like to do a lot of good things, and whatever you do well. So it's not like you're just one lane. When people tell people like us to stay in our lane, we're like, which one? You know,
you want me to get it to?
So, but let's go deeper and say, what would you say that your life purpose is?
Well, my life purpose is broken down into what I say three things that I've discovered. I love to empower people. That's my life purpose. Number one is to empower people. Secondarily, it's to educate people, to help them know about who they are, help them find. Education comes from a word that means to draw out of you what's inside of you. So I like to draw out of people what's inside of them. And then the third is I like to entertain people. I like to have
Mm.
fun. I like
Cool.
entertainment. So
Great.
that's my life purpose. And those three things, and I've been living with those three things for a long time. And actually, I remember praying, going, oh, okay, Lord, I do all these things, but who am I? In my life,
Yeah.
so and I was like, I entertain. I said, I educate, I empower. And then I was going to say, I encourage. And then the word entertain kept coming out of my mouth. I'm
Yeah.
talking to
Yeah.
myself. And then, me and God, and we're praying. And these, I empower. And I go, no, that's not right. I can't entertain. I empower, I educate, and I entertain. And I realized I entertain people. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
entertainment. It's like, I like having fun. I like being, dramatic in
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
that's who I am. I like that. And so that's when I found those core parts of me. I'm
Yeah.
empowering people, I'm
Yeah.
educating people, and I'm going to entertain them.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't matter what my canvas looks like. It doesn't matter if I'm in business or if I'm ministry or if I'm in family or if we're hanging out at Marie Callender's, wherever we're at,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing those three things, that's coming out of me.
That's awesome. That's super cool. And it's a great answer. And it's funny how you put entertain in there, because I think that's cool. It kind of my last podcast, we talked about sometimes who you wanted to be as a kid influences your life purpose today,
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to be like a WWF wrestler, you know what I mean? I wanted to be or a rock star,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think, I'm not either of those. I may be a rock star. You never know, right? Don't limit yourself.
Have
But
talent. Yeah.
but the thing is that I think, as I was praying about it, the aspects of those two things is entertainment. What does a rock star do? They get on stage to entertain people, and so does a wrestler. That's all they do. So, and I think that one of the ways I entertain people is being on stage as well. And I love that it's so true with you. I mean, you're one of the funniest guys out there, but you bring the breakthrough, which is crazy. It's like you don't have to be like super serious to bring the breakthrough. It's like you bring the breakthrough, but people are like cracking up. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, man. So how do you think you discovered your life purpose?
Well, there's a thing that I figured. It starts with what I really enjoy. I enjoy doing certain things, and then I find that the things that I enjoy, if I enjoy them and people enjoy that I do them for them or do them with them, then that kind of brought the combination. Of course, through lots of prayer and seeking God and going, okay, what is this? But there was times where God would say something to me and it didn't make sense to me. I just really didn't capture it. I didn't understand. You're going to be, your prophet to the nations, or you're a pastor, or now I'm starting a media channel. So you're media. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. So part of it is just discovery and being okay with not understanding the fullness of who you are, but discovering a little bit. And then if you start off with, most people start off their life with what they do and not who they are. And so when I'm able to go, I'm an entertainer, that settles a lot of things that I'll do. That's that if I'm an entertainer, if I have that as me, my core is I'm an entertainer, then I can't do anything that doesn't entertain people. I won't allow myself to do something that to tear someone down or break someone up, or that identity sets me in what I can do. So if I say I'm a justice person, then there's a few things that I can do. I can become an attorney. I can become, a police officer. I can become a judge. Right? That my identity sets what I can do. And sometimes we're often thinking, what am I going to do in life, instead of figuring out who am I. When we figure out who I am, then we can do this thing. And one of my favorite statements of Jesus is something that people read past when he asked Peter. He says, who do they say that I, the Son of Man, am? And he's saying right in the middle of this little sentence who he is, but he wants to make sure that they understand that I'm not doing something, I am something. And when we find out who I am, then I find out what I can do. And it doesn't matter if you put me, because of who I am, you can put me anywhere. Because I'll do that, whoever that is. And so that's how I found my life purpose, by really discovering who I was, and really discovering, when I found out that I was, my wife, I was challenged one time when I was, and I don't know how much your listeners are Christian or not Christian, or, kind of where they are. If you're Christian, then you'll understand this, or you may not understand this. But there was a time where I feel like, I'm called to be prophetic voice, someone who speaks about the current and the now, and speaks about what, the futurist of tomorrow, if I can use that term, futurist.
Yeah.
And so there was a time when I was like, man, I just want to be able to just have more insight and more understanding. And then my wife just simply said, you're trying to do something, but if you realize you are that already, it
Wow.
will manifest. And
Yeah.
so that's the key, is realizing that you are that already
Yeah.
and discovering who you are. And then
Yeah.
you'll manifest what you can do as the purpose.
Wow, that's perfect. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Our very first podcast was called Purpose Over Profession. You know, it is basically everything you just
That's so
said, saying
awesome. That's
it's saying that,
awesome.
yeah, it's saying that your purpose, because people get tied up to profession, they get tied up to what
Yeah.
they do. And it's like when you realize who you are, you're gonna express it in multi ways. Anyway, it doesn't matter how you could express it through a podcast, through preaching, through
Yes.
being on the job, through conversation. You could express it so many ways.
Yeah.
I love that you said the key is identifying who you are first,
Yes.
instead of being caught on a title or a name or this is who
Yeah.
I am, and you're just like, you can't define me. Come on.
You don't know me.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's good. So I don't know. I mean, I know you as a pastor and a coach, you've worked with a lot of people, and what do you think is the key from your experience of coaching people? What would you say the key is that for someone to tap into their life purpose?
You tap into life purpose. I think, there's two things. First of all, one of the things when I work with people is I do a lot of personal branding with people, which
Mm,
is discovering who they are
yeah.
and how to find their life purpose. And one of the things is I tell them, what's quirky about you? What's
Mm,
weird? What's
good.
interesting? What's strange? What separates you? What's your Barbara Streisand? If you were to do a silhouette of Barbara Streisand, you see her nose and you see her hair, and then later comes the voice. I mean, her icon or iconic position. That's the uniqueness. So identify what's unique about you,
Mm,
and then identify by asking questions to your family and your friends. Who do you see me to be? What do you get from me? What do
mm,
you get from my life? And you'll find that people are very positive in that response, and they say things that you don't ever imagine. And so when I'm doing this exercise with people, I'm like, let's work on your personal branding. I want you to ask 5 people, who do they
mm,
see you to be? And that's
mm.
going back to what
Good.
Jesus said. Who do they say that I, the Son of Man, am? He was actually asking a personal branding question, helping him identify how much is he missing and how much is he hitting the target of manifesting who he's supposed to be. And so then, ask people who you are. Who do you see me to be? And then the third thing is, that I think is very important, is in which was really big in my discovery, was looking at my patterns. I'd
Mm,
go and look back and see, what was I successful at?
yeah.
Where did I really do well at?
Mm,
What did I struggle at? And then it was really a pretty straight line down the things that I was
mm,
successful at. And I realized that's what I love to do.
yeah.
That right there, I
Yeah.
love to do that right there.
Yeah.
And so that's my pattern. And so I'm actually going to focus on that pattern instead
Yeah.
of just trying to do something else. And then those are 3 things that I would encourage someone to really pay attention to. What's quirky about you? What do people say about you? And not negative people. I'm talking about people, family,
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
people that you trust. Because you nowadays you can go to any if you have a podcast, if you're out there, you're in front of people, people are going to write about you, and they're going to
Yeah.
say stuff, they're going to post about you, and
Yeah.
there's always going to be someone say. But if you family, friends, people that know
Yeah.
you, they're
Yeah.
going to tell you the genuine side. They will
Yeah.
say, "Hey, you're a little stubborn here, but you're really, really good over here."
Yeah.
But you'll be
Yeah.
able to identify your brand, and then you'll be able
Yeah.
to see a pattern.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love the quirkiness part of it, because that's something that people overlook. It's something that doesn't immediately come to mind and think, oh, well, that's not important, but you could build your whole brand off of that,
No,
It's
yeah.
it's what separates you, right?
It's what separates you. It's a Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she has
Mm,
quirkiness, but then but her quirkiness, and she doesn't hide it. I mean, she's talked about it. She talks about the fact that she has a hard time losing weight, and so she
mm,
gets, gains weight, loses
mm,
weight, gets another diet, but she works on that quirkiness. She works on that, but at
yeah.
the same time, it makes her pleasant. It makes her exciting. It makes someone, it makes people want to it's endearing,
Yeah.
right? And your
Yeah.
quirkiness is endearing. It takes away
Yeah.
this weirdness.
Mm,
The people, look at Donald Trump and he flips his hair. I mean, he has a quirkiness, and it's not,
Yeah.
but it's a part of his image. It's like,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of quirkiness, but we try to hide it and we try to look
Yeah.
perfect.
It's true.
Call it quirky and go, this is my quirk, and this is my
Yeah.
weirdness. This is my uniqueness. This is my separator. Right? It's
That-
people who
that-
have really,
yeah.
really, really red hair. Let that red hair flow. Don't be covering that hair.
Yeah.
Boom. Let that hair.
That's your business. Red hair, whatever you do, right? Red hair podcast, red hair.
Red hair. Do it. Make it work.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. I love how you brought that up. That's something I haven't really thought about, but I think that's what makes you transparent to people, and that's what connects you to people, you know. And I mean, how many people are doing something, you know, even like this, but it's the uniqueness of you that makes people connect to it, you know what I mean? And so they look forward to the quirkiness, they look forward to that thing that you do that only you do, you know. So
exactly.
So, which I would say your post, what's that?
That's the edge. That quirkiness is the edge.
I think one of yours is the poses you make when you preach.
Faces, poses. I have all kinds of poses.
Yeah,
faces.
you do. Oh man, you were like, I'm surfing, and then you were like, wait, I don't even know what a surfer does. How does
I'm riding a horse. Here it goes.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. That's super cool. Okay, so let's go a little deeper now. Now we're going to go into a little bit deeper into emotions, at least, or maybe. What would you, Tracey Armstrong, say to somebody who feels like they missed their life purpose? Say they're a little older, maybe they're not, or actually young people feel it too. You won't believe how many 20-year-olds tell me, I miss my life. I'm like, dude, you're 20. It's impossible to miss your life purpose.
When were you supposed to hit that? When were you supposed to hit that? My goodness. Like 12?
Yeah, exactly. But that's the pressure that the society puts on young people. But regardless of age, what would you say to somebody who feels, you know, like they missed it? They missed their life purpose.
My first thing would be, my first thing is one to shake them. But my first thing is
for real.
My first thing is to say, you know what? Let's just choose to be lifetime learners right now. Let's just choose to learn something new today. And when you choose to learn something new, you always discover there's more to you. There's more that you can do. There's more that you can accomplish. And so, I want to then encourage you to realize that you're still breathing. You're still alive. I just buried my uncle. My uncle was a 2-time Olympian. He was literally one of the most impactful heroes in my life. He never stopped learning. He was medal winner in the Olympics, pro boxer, but he never stopped learning. Now, when he stops learning, we put him in the ground. When I said ashes to ashes and dust to dust and over his body, and he was lowered into the ground, that's when he was done with his purpose. That's when he was finished. Now, if you're not in that state and you can still hear us and you can still breathe, there's a lot of purpose still to be accomplished. And I can go through all of the anecdotal things, which would be, let's look at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Let's look at Colonel Sanders. He didn't start until he was in his 60s.
Yeah.
And then that's when he started, came out the formula, and he became this incredible thing. And let's look at Winston Churchill, who really didn't hit his mark until he was of a certain age. Let's look at Donald Trump, who has done all of these things, but you don't become president until you're after 65. So if there's nobody that's president, and that's young. There's no young president. Yeah. So if you're really thinking you missed your destiny, you're not really seeing where the game is really played. Yeah. The game is really played at these higher ages. Most people don't feel so comfortable in their skin until they're over 50, to where they don't really care about failing in front of people. They just want to accomplish. And if you identify where most people gain their success, real accomplishments are done after 50. So 50 to 65, 70. And now with the over the hill age changing, used to be the 40s, now the 50s, and now it's Oprah Winfrey's trying to change the 60s, I think. Yeah. And now now the age of over the hill has changed. So it's a mindset that I would encourage that the listener to go, you know what, maybe it's just I haven't learned enough. Maybe I need to give myself to learning more. I need to become a learner today. And if you will add to yourself every day something new, if you'll learn something new, read something new, study something new, go somewhere that you've never gone, engage an event that you've never gone to. And I feel like when a person says that I have I missed my purpose. That's a
Mm,
goal-oriented
mm,
person.
mm,
They had a goal that, or at
mm.
least they're goal-minded. They had a
Yeah,
goal, they're goal-minded. So I missed my goal. My goal wasn't by
yeah.
40, I was supposed to be a millionaire. Well, I missed my purpose. I missed it.
Mm,
But if you become
mm,
growth-oriented, growth-minded,
mm,
then you'll always grow into someone that can accomplish a purpose
mm.
still. So let's just choose to grow, and you'll grow
Yeah,
into someone who says, I've got so much to offer and so much to
yeah.
do. There's no way that I've missed my purpose. I still see a lot in front of me. So big vision comes from becoming a massive learner, and just be someone that's learning, listening to podcasts, reading
Yeah,
books. Put yourself
yeah,
around people who are flying. Put yourself around eagles, and you'll fly with them.
yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful. I love the learning aspect. You said, always be learning. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and I think it's great because it actually leads to your purpose. It
Yeah,
does. I think that there's this verse that I shared, I think, on the 2 podcasts ago, and it's who was it speaking to maybe Saul, and God told him to the prophet, whatever your hand finds to do it, for God is with you. Do
yeah,
what's in front of you. And so it's funny because even in my personal life, there was a time where I was very much into videography, making
yeah,
videos and all that stuff, and I consumed it. I was in it. I was learning. I was focused on it. And you know what? I'm definitely not going to be a professional videographer,
but
anymore, because but everything I learned, it wasn't in vain. It wasn't in,
yeah,
and I'm
no,
using it to this day. I'm using it for now for this podcast. I'm using it for the promos. We made a promo for this podcast. I use it for my son's guitar lessons videos, and the
yeah,
guitar thing we've been talking about. I'm going to use it for that. So it's funny that I think learning is a very key to purpose.
key to
Learning what you're passionate about, whatever, just learn whatever, because I think you'd be shocked to see how in the future that comes into play, and it
yeah,
was just something that you thought was a hobby. And it may not
exactly.
be that you might not be like whatever, like this major videographer, but it's going to lead to something else. It's going to open another door. So I love that, Tracy. I love that learning is a path. We could make a quote: learning something
Is
new is a path to your purpose.
is a
Tracy
path to your
Armstrong.
purpose. Beautiful, bam, oh, right there.
I'm
That's
gonna put that on Instagram. Put that on Instagram. Tag you in it. There you go.
and
That's
the
great.
realization is, so Winston Churchill was called up. He lost. He got kicked out of the parliament, and he was called up when Hitler was rising, and he says, "I felt like I have walked with destiny. I've been walking with destiny
Yes.
in that I was prepared for this
Yeah.
hour and for this time, for this
Uh,
trial, and
yeah.
that everything that I've done, everything I learned, brought me to this moment." Is what he's basically
Mm,
saying. And so you have to know
wow.
that there may be one revealing
Mm,
thing. I wrote
yeah.
about this in my book,
Experimentalist. Yes.
Experimentalist. There may be one thing that still hasn't been exposed that manifests all of the revelation that
Mm,
you've learned. So for him, he needed to have a Hitler to manifest who he
yeah.
really was.
Yeah.
And without a Hitler, it would have never manifest. So if you feel like you missed your purpose, maybe your Hitler hasn't been revealed.
Mm,
For
true.
Thomas Edison, it was another equation for the what's his name, the mathematician. For
Mm.
him, for what's his name,
Oh,
for
Einstein?
Einstein. For
Yeah.
Einstein, it was the fact that he needed the eclipse to happen, which only
Mm,
happened every 100
wow.
years or something like that. He was teaching something for 17 years,
Yeah.
and there was no proof to it until an eclipse
Yeah.
happened. It was that pivotal moment. We call it platform
Mm,
maturity. At that
mm,
place, his platform was mature enough to manifest everything
mm.
that he'd been growing in. And so maybe this podcast is your
Yeah.
platform maturity.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever it may be, there's a pivotal moment
Yes.
that if you don't stay prepped for it and learning
Mm,
for it, you may
mm.
miss it. There may be one
Yeah.
more equation that
Mm,
you just need to know
mm.
that kicks it off. So never stop learning. It's the
Yeah.
pathway to
Mm.
purpose, right?
Dude, I love that quote. And by the way, that book Experimental, this is amazing. It's practically all highlighted. It's a very good book. So listeners, look up Tracey Armstrong. He's got amazing books. I just downloaded the audio for The Art of Joy,
Okay,
which
cool.
is not your voice reading it, but it's
Okay.
okay. It's okay because I think it's cool that it's not your voice, because I'm receiving it more as instead of just hearing Tracy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, it's deep, it's good. But I love the example of he felt like Winston Churchill was walking with destiny. I mean, that's deep, and that's a sense, and I think that's the key, because I don't know about you, but I've always had that sense, that
Yeah.
sense of
Yeah.
greatness. There's a sense of
Yeah.
greatness. There's a sense of purpose. Like one day I'm going to rock and something's just going to crack. And I know I'm here for a reason. And the influence, I'm grateful for every amount of influence I've ever had, but I know it's just the beginning. There's just that
Yeah.
sense inside of you. And I think I love that story that you brought that up, because to me, what it does is it gives the hope, like you said, your Hitler hasn't arose yet. Goliath hasn't arose. I mean, they say the quote with who made David king? Goliath did. Goliath made him king. It wasn't they anointed him, but he was still bringing cheese to the guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it was
exactly.
Goliath. So
Exactly.
that's I think the part where people feel like they missed it. It's that in between you being anointed and Goliath showing up. There's a part where you just have to trust that you're going to do something amazing
Exactly.
and learn everything you can in the process,
And it's like I felt it's like everything that I've learned has brought me to this moment. And
Yeah.
you never know when that moment comes. You never know when it happens. It
Yeah.
happened, for Jesus at 33 and a half, but for
Mm,
others, it's very much later.
yeah.
And there's a lot of learning that takes place.
Mm. And, and
It's been interesting. I've studied on astronauts. I always thought people went to school to be an astronaut, but I found out that most people that are astronauts are specialists in one area, and then later in life, after
mm,
they've achieved so much, then they go to astronaut school. So I could be a dentist or doctor or something, and then go to astronaut school and become a generalist. And then I'm now going to become right. It's really amazing. They
yeah.
have to teach
Yeah.
me things that I've never thought about learning.
Mm,
So we think everything should come in its proper time, but there's always a
mm,
moment. There's always a
mm.
pivotal moment for it.
Yeah. And I think what's cool is, like, going back to Winston Churchill, in your book you mentioned it was a book that he wrote, or he wrote this book, or
Yeah.
somebody he wrote this book that was the key to
Yes.
his success, right? To
Yeah.
overcoming, the war. And but the key is he wrote that book. That was his learning in the valley. That was his learning. And it
Exactly.
led him to that thing. I mean, go back to even compare with David and Goliath, and what do you see? David's out here shooting slingshots. You know what I mean? Okay, David
Exactly.
didn't just throw a slingshot and get lucky. Okay, he actually, God used his skill. It wasn't luck. Like, he just threw a rock. He never used a slingshot, but God miraculously came upon him, shot this rock, and all of a sudden Goliath. That's not what happened. Is
Oh,
David actually had great skill with a slingshot.
right. He was developing the whole time.
Yeah, so I think this is a huge. I'm excited about this, man. This is encouraging, because I think it's encouraging to know to always be learning in the
Yeah.
midst, even if I think we're all to a degree living our purpose, and that's what your good life now is about. Is I want you to live your purpose now, do it now. That's what this podcast is just one small way I could express my purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it my whole life purpose? My destiny was to be a podcast host? Maybe not, but it doesn't
Part of
matter. It
yeah.
doesn't matter, because my life purpose is just to bring who I am to the world. And if this is an avenue, what's the next avenue? So we just express it in different ways, but learning is a key, and being an expert or good at what you do
Yes.
is gonna take you to that. I mean, man, I'm just seeing the connection from David and Goliath, his slingshot practicing, to
Yeah.
Winston Churchill studying history and writing wars in this book. He had
Exactly.
no idea that was going to
No
change his.
idea. No idea. It was just another opportunity to write. It was another
Mm,
opportunity to study, another opportunity to learn more about his family, John Churchill, and how he handled King Louis. And
mm,
then he recognized that this is exactly what I'm seeing here with Hitler. This is exactly, and all of the lessons that he learned in writing,
mm,
he used against Hitler, and then that writing of the Marlborough book, that story, he sent that story to JFK to get him involved in the war against Hitler when
mm,
they were already in a fight with Japan. So
mm,
it was that writing, all of that
Yeah.
that preparation became what he
Wow.
used as a tool to actually
Mm,
turn the world and save the world and keep the world
mm,
from destruction. Yeah,
mm.
pretty
Wow.
powerful.
Very powerful to view that, because if you were to go back without him having the foreknowledge, I mean, you don't have the foreknowledge. That's the excitement of life, right? Is you
Yeah,
don't know the future.
yeah, yeah,
But if you get excited about your purpose and do what's in front of you, do what you can right now, do your quirk, do what's attractive to you, do just keep learning and trust that God's leading your life. God's leading your path. God's leading you to read that book for a reason, to shoot that
yeah.
slingshot for a reason. You don't know.
Exactly. Start this podcast for a reason.
Yeah.
It's, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's for a
and the
reason.
learning that you had to go through to even start this podcast. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. There's a lot, and our next season is this season's life purpose. We're almost done. Our next season, I'm really excited about. I'm gonna have to bring you back on. There's so much. There's so many facets to you, so you might have to come on again, because every season.
I'm here, right here for
But
you. We're
yeah, the
partners.
next season, I'm really excited about. It's something that it's we're talking more about having faith in yourself.
Oh, wow. That's good. I like
Faith in yourself, and that's what that's deep for me, because it's just there's so I think that's the number one thing holding people back from their good life
for sure.
is not believing in themselves. So
Yeah, I agree. I
mm,
agree. I agree with that. That's good.
so all right.
So
I know I'm so tempted to go down that path. I'm so tempted.
that's next season. Next
Yeah.
season,
That'll take another 30
I'll
minutes,
come
man.
back. I'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We can have fun on that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one, because I know both of us have great experience in that breakthrough. So okay, so the last thing I was going to do is I think we might have answered it, though. I mean, I was going to say, what can listeners do now to activate their purpose?
But
But
I think you answered it when you, even in your last, I think you said that you do whatever your hands can find to do.
yeah.
That
Mm,
is what most people don't do. They are so busy
yeah.
looking for the big break that
Yeah.
we miss the break, the
Mm,
breaking, the little chisels,
yeah.
opportunity to chisel away at it and do what your hands find to do. So as I said, I'm working on a new project for me. Been working on it for quite some time, but I'm really putting some robust effort into it. Kind of like a side hustle, side
Mm,
hobby in launching a TV channel for
nice.
the last 5 years. And so but the ever 2020 was really a catalyst time. I think the 2020 challenges,
Mm,
all the
yeah.
challenges of 2020, made me realize that I needed to
Mm,
put my foot forward more so in
mm,
media control
mm,
and helping valuable voices find their platform
yeah.
uh, on in media and television.
Mm,
So I'm actually, but I don't have everything in place. I don't know
mm,
everything. I don't, but I am doing what my hands find to do.
yeah. Yeah.
And if we often want to just sprint into our destiny, but
Mm,
I realize that a lot of things that I get in concept, it takes me at least 6 to 7 years to work out in function. And
mm,
so when you realize that this is a long
mm,
game and not a short
yeah.
game,
That's good.
then you actually will approach it differently. And so much
Mm,
we think we want everything to be a long game. So
yeah.
when I wanted to learn how to do success coaching online, I said, this whole year I'm learning marketing online.
Mm,
Then the next year I said, I'm learning how to do live videos online. The next year
mm,
I'm learning how to do live videos on 2 platforms at the same time. And then
yeah.
last year
Yeah.
I'm learning how to do challenges and
Yeah.
then this year I'm learning how to take and do this. So I chop things off at year times where I used to try to do it in weeks. And I
Mm,
realized because there's such a learning
yeah.
curve in everything that
Mm,
we do,
mm,
and we just are faithful. So
mm,
whatever your hands find to do today, be faithful with it and just
yeah.
stay with it. Just stay steady. People watch the steadiness of my life. And it was something that I wasn't. I
Yeah.
was a procrastinator. I was
Yeah.
literally just a put it off until the next
Yeah.
day or the next day. And then I had to ask myself these launch questions.
Mm,
What can I why put off till tomorrow what I can do today? I mean, that's a
yeah.
launch question. It makes
Yeah.
me go, oh, I'm just going to get up and do it.
Yeah.
Or what excuse am I giving? So if you may be procrastinating on something, then give yourself launch questions. I would wake up in the morning and say, what would I do today if I wasn't afraid? And then that
Mhm.
would launch me out into movement. Or I'd say five, four,
Mm.
three, two, one. And
Yeah.
that's my launch movement. So that's my motivator. I would motivate myself to move when I felt like sitting around.
Mm.
And then I would just do whatever I would see in front of me. And if
Yeah.
most people just do whatever they're seeing in front of them and then choose to do something for 10 minutes, take 10 minutes a day to
Yeah.
learn something new, then
Yeah.
you're already moving forward. And you'll
Yeah.
find when you learn something new, you'll find something new to do with your
Yeah.
hands. So
Yeah.
when I'm learning something new, I find something new. Let me go try it. I
Yeah.
learned this. Let me go try it. So that's how I'm starting a TV channel.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
I'm learning something new
Yeah.
every day. I'm
Yeah.
studying, and let's go and try it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm exchanging my coaching for people who have wisdom. I'm like, I'll coach
Mm.
you if you give me wisdom on this, and
Mm.
I'm just doing whatever I can.
Yeah.
It's not the way NBC would jump out
Yeah.
or somebody else, ABC, because they have
Mm.
a lot of resources. But when you don't have resources, you have to be resourceful.
Mm.
And I think the most important thing is just be resourceful, which is do what your hands find to do,
It's
and
great.
then get busy with it. Be
Yeah.
resourceful. When you don't have resources, don't shrink your desire. Increase your resources
Yeah.
by resourcefulness.
That's awesome. And I think that's so cool that you're saying that, because as you're saying it, I was thinking, the best thing about learning is it's fun. It's fun,
Fun.
man. I mean,
It's
learning
fun.
is exciting, right? I mean, learning something new. I mean, man,
Yeah.
my wife always teases me because when I learn something new, like I go all out, man. I'm like all in. When I with a couple years back, me and Zeke wanted to go fishing a lot. So man, I'm out there buying gear and I'm getting
Fishing.
fishing magazines and all the hats, and I'm just researching fishing, but I go all in. But you know what? It's exciting, and it's exciting, and with guitar, of course, when I get into that stuff, I just get
You're
so all in, and so. But I think it's fun because it brings a zest to life. I think learning something just it becomes your purpose. Your temporary purpose is to learn this thing, and like you said, it keeps you young, it keeps you living, it keeps you
yeah.
alive, and it just makes life fun. I think it's fun to learn stuff.
Especially when you say, well, everything I learn, it gives me permission to act on it. That
Yeah.
makes it fun. Not just education, but for the sake
Yeah.
of go do something with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fishing. So
Yeah.
listen, I'm going to learn about fishing. I have an activity that I want to do, so I'm going to learn about it. So I
Yeah.
think people who have fun learning are people who learn to take action. And I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it fun.
That's awesome. And then like we talked about, whatever you learn, you'll be shocked how God set you up to learn that, because he's going to use that for something. In so it's like I realized that I thought it said that Jesus, he'll make you fishermen, but it was actually fishers of men. I missed that part, so I got really into fishing. No, I'm sorry, it's a cheesy joke, but
Sorry, Jesus. I only read the fish and fishing.
I thought he said to be a fisherman, so I got all into fishing, and then someone showed me the of. I go, oops, my bad. So I sold all my fishing gear. Anyway, but
And
man,
my
well, it's
podcast here.
yeah, for real. I traded it for podcast gear, and. But man,
Fishing for men now. Fishing for men.
what's that?
You're fishing for men through
Yeah,
podcasts.
exactly. There you go. There you go. So, man, well, dude, I had a great time with you, Tracy. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom, your experience, your spirit with us, man. You have a spirit of a winner, spirit of a champion, spirit of success, and I love that about you. I'm honored to call you a friend, and I love all your books. To all listeners out there who've never heard of Tracey Armstrong, you got to check out. Is your website the best place to find all your books and all that, or?
I mean, it's a good start.
Just
I'm
Google him.
yeah,
I Googled you to get pictures, and dude, you're everywhere. So just Google Tracy Armstrong. He's known. He's got amazing books out there. I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying because they're friend. Your books are great. I mean, The Experimentalist was life changing for me. I was reading that while I was in the process of debate of starting this, so that really helped me out. Art of Joy. Wow,
yeah.
that's I'm that book is deceiving, because I thought it was just going to be about being happy, but it's about disappointment. which I'm like, whoa, I did not expect this, you know? So, but it's great because it's getting through that that's going to lead to your happiness, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's my journey, and that's probably another something to talk about in faith, because I
yeah,
realize when we talk about faith, we can talk about the art of joy a little bit, because I lost a lot of faith through disappointment, and had to regain that. And in that, when you return to your faith, you return to joy.
yeah. That's beautiful, beautiful. And I'm barely in the beginning of that book, so I'm only a couple of chapters in, but I'm loving it so far. So, man, well, thank you again, Tracey, for sharing all your awesome wisdom with us. It's a great conversation. Look forward to having you again when we talk about identity. That's going to be deep, man. It's going to go hard. We're going to have some breakthrough, man. I mean, I felt we got some breakthrough today. I had breakthrough just talking with you. So it's good stuff, man.
It's fun. And you're a great host. You're easy to talk to. You have great questions. Some podcasts are more challenging than others. This was really, really easy awesome flow. You connect, so you do great.
Sweet.
Love
it. Thank you so much. So there we go, guys. We are about to step into life purpose. Let's take all this wisdom. Make sure you check out Tracey Armstrong's books. They're amazing. Follow him on Instagram, everywhere you can find him, because he speaks in his this is, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be closing this podcast, but if there's so many interesting things about Tracey Armstrong. If you think he's just about positive, wait till you hear him preach. It's not even just a preaching. We'll go next level, but stuff happens when you minister, bro. And that's what I love about you the best, man. It's just, I love shocking people. Like, oh man, you never heard him preach? You're about to get blown away. It's awesome. It's exciting, man. So, well, thanks again, guys, for tuning in to your Good Life Now podcast. And as always, cheers to your good life. Good life. I'm just living that good life. I'm just living that good life. I'm just living that good life. Good